guys, ThatgurlChrys, and I am here today to talk to you about something that just happened a couple weeks ago at work. And it's a little bit of a rant, but I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. But first, how do you like my background? I know, a little fancy. I didn't like the all white that I was using in my bedroom and my bathroom. So I actually like the colors that are popping on here. It's a little bit of everything. So kind of just goes with my personality. Anyways, and I'm representing the Bay today, my San Francisco shirt. Um, anyways, due to the climate of the political stance that's happening right now, I kind of wanted to give a little story as to something I just experienced. For those who don't know, I am black and white. My mom is white and my dad is black. I grew up with my mom and my stepdad, and my stepdad is Puerto Rican. Um, we lived in many different places across the country because initially my dad and my stepdad were both in the army, and my stepdad was in the reserve, so we frequently moved. After we moved back to the States from Germany, we landed in Virginia and then made our way across the world. And I will share some of those stories with you because I have a bunch. Anyways, I'm looking here because my dog Bentley decided he wants to come give some love to me because he hears me talking. Say hi, Bentley. Hi, Bentley, baby. Oh, good kisses. That's my little puppy. Normally I wouldn't have him in the video, but hey, this is some puppy love. Anyways, so the last state I lived in prior to moving to California is Oklahoma, and I lived in very, very small racist towns. Don't ask me how we ended up there. It's just always the places that we lived. And growing up with my mom and my stepdad, I had four brothers and sisters younger than me, and they were all Puerto Rican and white. So out of my parents' children, I am the only one who has this mom and this dad. So that's just some background. Fast forward to what happened at work. Very sensitive to people being aware of racism and different ways that you can portray being a racist even if you don't intend on it. I've kind of lived my life feeling as though I've had to be a spokesperson for it, and I'm frankly over it. However, having a mom who is white with views of a very white person makes it a little challenging. So at work, I am the only person of color in my department and person of color of black color. There's a couple Latinos and there's a lot of Russians at my company because I do work for a software company. Anyways, I'm rambling. There are a couple of women who I am friendly with, and they are all white. But I've had friends of many ethnicities, so it's never a problem. I am cautious. And I'm cautious because I feel at the end of the day, they will show their true colors. And I have yet to have an experience where that didn't happen. So I was at work 2 weeks ago, and a colleague that sits directly in front of me was having a conversation with another colleague about an event that my manager and I produce. I heard the conversation, there was some untruths being said, and I was completely annoyed at the conversation because the person who was leading the conversation knew what the real deal was. And I was annoyed that she wasn't speaking up. So I stood up because we sit in an open setting type of floor. I'm sorry, our floor is open seating. It's like these open style cubes where if I'm sitting at my desk, the person in front of me literally is looking at me. And so I stood up twice to make sure she knew I was still sitting there. And she never acknowledged me. The conversation kept happening. And the reason why I didn't interrupt is because the person she was talking to is a challenging person. And her boss can make life a little difficult for people. Therefore, I didn't want to interject and make a big scene. So when the woman walked away, I told the person who was sitting in front of me, I was like, hey, you know, the conversation that you and so were having should really shouldn't have happened in such an open area. Let me also add that the person who sits in front of me is a very loud talker. So everything negative she was saying about my manager and the history of the events, she was saying in an open area where about 15 to 20 people were sitting and could hear the conversation. And I said, you know, so and so has an office. You should probably have those type of conversations there. And if you guys are going to schedule a meeting about this particular event, I would appreciate if you included my manager and I in that, since it's our event. And so she's typing on her laptop as we're having the discussion, and she looks up and she's like, why? Or what? Are you going to turn all angry black woman on me? And at the very second she said it, I was like, did she just say this to me? And I look at another young lady that was sitting close to her who heard it. And she looked at me and I was completely astonished. Why? I will tell you in a minute. So I close my laptop and start packing up my things. And I said to her, why did you say that to me? And she said, because I'm white and I wouldn't have said the things that you say, I wouldn't have said them. And the only thing I can assume is because you're black. And I said, well, you know that my mom is white, so why would you automatically say an angry black woman? And my manager is pretty intense and can be kind of short in conversations. I said, you've never called her an angry white woman, so why did you call me an angry black woman? And she is like, oh my goodness, I did not mean to offend you. You're taking it all out of context. And I said, it's privileged white women like you who feel you can get away with saying something like that to me. Because as a black person, I could never formulate those words and keep my job. And I left. I was heading off to an event, so even if I wanted to go to HR, I couldn't at that moment just because of the timing. I was off to a meeting for 2 weeks that I just got back Saturday, but I was so upset and devastated on so many levels. I called my boss. I had already called my boss about the conversation that was being had because I needed to make sure that she took the precautions she needed to. But looking back on the situation, I was more upset at the fact that here is a person who I regarded a friendly person. I wouldn't say that she was my best friend. I wouldn't say that we were homies, but I did have fun with her. Her and another colleague and I would text each other if we weren't going to be in the office, just to give a heads up, because we all commute from about an hour and a half away to get to our office. So, you know, it's not fun being at work when you're by yourself, and that's just how it was. If there was an event or something going on the property, we would kind of connect up, and we just made work fun. And I didn't expect this from her. Am I surprised? No. But then it had me questioning every single thing about me. Do I project myself as an angry person? Do people think that I'm really angry? How are my colleagues viewing me at work? I'm the only person of color here. What does that mean? Do more people think this of me? And I just was so upset. And I literally got into my car and cried for an hour and a half all the way home. And it wasn't more of the she hurt my feelings, so I'm crying. It was that I can't believe it's 2017 and someone just said this to me. And while some people who know me know that I'm pretty intense, I say what I feel about, excuse me, I say how I feel about things. I don't hide it, I don't sugarcoat it. However, I do try to make sure that my delivery is not harsh or I don't intentionally hurt your feelings. Now, if I say something that hurts your feelings, there's a few things that are looked at the situation, because people do hurt my feelings as well. I'm not going to change how I feel. I'm not even going to change it if I say it or not. I will make sure that I'm not doing anything intentionally to hurt your feelings. However, we all have opinions. We all have our opinions, really. And so you can't tell me how to feel or think about something. However, you may not tell me anything racist ever and think it's okay. She did apologize to me the next day via text. Chris, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry that I offended you. Not sorry that I said it. I'm sorry that I offended you. I know you are. I know you are. Because that angry black woman that you were trying to say that I was going to be is me now. Because you don't ever have to worry about having a conversation with me again. And, my manager, people told me to go to HR because the people who were around were astonished. Number one, because they know that her and I were cool. But number two, that they couldn't believe that she would even say that. I'm still debating. I have one more day and I go to work tomorrow, so I'll decide whether or not I'm going to say something. I can say that it has definitely changed my opinion of people. Another colleague of mine took me aside last week and said, I just want you to know that she never meant it in a derogatory way. She was just doing it, playing. I was like, first of all, this conversation isn't for you and I. It's definitely not something you and I should talk about. Not something her and I would ever play about. I don't call her an angry white woman. It's just, those aren't things that I would say to her. So no, you may not get away with calling me that or saying that to me ever. So, to be continued, because I don't know what's going to happen with this. I can say that I am very upset with it, and I don't know. I'm at a loss. So any input you have would be great. What would you do if you had someone do this to you? Anything outside of being physical, because I thought that too, but that's not my style. But I would appreciate some comments and feedback as to how you would handle it, and have you been through something like this? All right, guys, until next time, deuces.